Hey everyone, I'm Stuart, founder of DMARC Defender, previously founder of Casper. In this video, we're going to be installing DMARC on a domain using DMARC Defender. Step one, we should check and see if DMARC is already installed and if SPF is installed. So I'm going to the domain check tool here. I'm going to type in the domain. So for this example, we're going to use Casper.io, which is one of my other products. And we can see technically this one already has a DMARC installed, but we're going to go through and we're going to fix an issue with it. We can see that there's no recommendations. If DMARC was missing, it would let you know. It's pulling the current DMARC record. We can see this record is already installed. It's pulling the current SPF record, which we can see is here. It's showing the SPF lookup tree. You can only have 10 lookups, so this is just checking to make sure you're not going over that limit. It's looking for any publicly known DKIM records, and then also checking for BIMI, TLS RPT, MTA SDS, who your DNS provider is. So when we have to make some DNS changes, it's just this is who your provider is for your domain, and then also where your MX records are. If you didn't have DMARC installed, we can go to, let's say, fakecasper.io. This hopefully should not exist. It doesn't. We can see we're missing DMARC and we're missing SPF, so we know we have work to do. The first step is to create an account. So you can go to login, you can log in with Google, GitHub, email. Once you have your account enabled, you can also set up SSO, so you can use SAML or OIDC. For this, I'm already logged in, so I would go to Google. After that, we're going to go create an account. There is a free plan. You get a domain up to 20,000 emails. If you have more domains or you need more emails, the plans are very reasonably priced, I believe. Video demo. So at this point, you would type in your domain. I'm going to type in fake Casper. I don't actually own this domain, so we're not going to go through all the steps, but we can see it's going to look to see what your current DMARC record is. There's no DMARC. This is important because you can actually use two different DMARC vendors at the same time. You just have to put a comma in between the different RUAs, which this tool will do for you. This is the recommended policy to have installed. I go through all the tags. There's also default tags and stuff. It doesn't really matter. For the most part, you're just going to copy this and follow these instructions down here. So we need to install this on our DNS. Because this domain doesn't actually exist, it doesn't know who the DNS provider is. Normally it would say, AWS Route 53 or Google Domains or something like that. This is the host name. This is the record type. This is the value we're going to set. And this is the TTL. And so what we're doing right now is we're setting our DMARC into report only mode. This allows us to capture the aggregation reports, which will then help us identify which services need work. So if you're at an organization, most likely you just create a ticket and hand this over to your operations team. If you're doing this yourself, you just need to go to your DNS provider, wherever you bought the domain. This is Route 53. So just showing this with an example domain, another domain I own. The record is dmarc.conrad.io, which is what the instruction said. I copy in that string of text, which was below. I can set the TTL, and you hit save. So after a couple of days, we should have collected some data, and now we can start doing some investigating. So we can go to the Analysis tab, and what we have here is a list of the different domains that we're interested in. We only installed one in the previous one, but now I'm on a production account that shows real data, so we can actually see what the product looks like. But here are a couple of domains that I'm tracking, so I can click through any of these to start getting some drill down. We're going to go through these in a second. We can see these are the total number of emails sent by each of these domains, and then we can see what their actual delivery status was. So we can see green, all of these were delivered. Only about 75% was delivered here, and only about 64% was delivered here. This is the expected delivery. So emails could be delivered because you set the policy equal to none in report mode. So they're being delivered, but the expected delivery makes a best guess of if we were actually in enforce mode, which is what we want to be, would the email be delivered? And it's just using a best guess on that. And then we also specifically call out, did it pass both the SPF authentication and alignment, and did it pass the DKIM authentication and alignment? So drilling down, so actually let's go to m.casper. So the next step is to enumerate and find all the different services that our organization or that this specific domain uses. What we're trying to do is we want to allow all the legitimate traffic and block all the illegitimate traffic. So in this case, for this company, Casper.io, I know that we use Mailgun. And so we can see that Mailgun has sent 1,099 emails. They've all been delivered. They were expected to be delivered. SPF has passed. DKIM has passed. So that is a great service. I am happy with that. And looks like it's set up correctly. Sometimes through some weird support thing, emails are also sent via Google. And so we can see this is working. It is 100% delivered and 100% expected delivery. There's some stuff with forwarding. It's not too exciting, but this is just the fun of mucking through DMARC reports. If you're curious about what this actually looks like, you can click through all the way down, and we can see that this is being passed via ARC, which is why it's blue. Again, we're getting a little bit in the weeds. You can always click through and hover the tooltips to see what that actually looks like. We can see at the bottom here, there's a service called sobis.ro. I have no idea what this is, and I do not send email using this service, whatever it is. And we can see that this email was rejected, which is good. We don't want it. Initially, when you the policy installed here is an enforced policy, so emails will be rejected. And when you set it up in report mode, which I don't have any right now, but if you were in report mode, it would still be allowed, but the expected delivery would be false because these protocols need to pass and they would not pass. And so in this specific case, we can see that SPF, technically it passed the authentication, but it was under the mx1 sobis.ro domain. And we don't actually care about that. That is not the domain we're interested in. We're interested in m.casper.io, so it failed alignment because the return addresses do not match. And we can also see they didn't pin a DKIM key. Oh, they did pin a DKIM key, my DKIM key, but the authentication failed, which is strange. So this is not a valid service, and we do not care about it, and we want it to be blocked. And in this case, it is being blocked, which is good. And so like I said, the goal of this step right now is to find all the services we have and to make sure they are passing as expected. So this one we don't care about. The rest, this is good, this is good. Google's also good. For technical differences, they're split out. This one is interesting. I am not familiar, or I was not familiar with Avanan. And it is saying I'm sending emails from this. So what you can do is you can go to the setup docs for the service, and you can see what they are, what it is. And it says that Avanan does not currently work correctly with DMARC. You can ignore the failures. It's a security solution in partnership with Microsoft 365. Microsoft accepts emails and then marks them as a DMARC failure, but they're still being delivered. So unfortunately, another one of the complications with working with DMARC, email is a very convoluted thing. So we can basically ignore these. And so cool, we were able to identify the different services that are using this domain. They seem to be working correctly. So if you had a service, like let's say Mailgun was saying that these were failing, what you will then do is you can go to the setup docs and go through the documentation links. You can also, just Google for the documentation, but we need to make sure, we need to work with Mailgun and our DNS records to make sure things are set up correctly. And so each one of these is going to have their own instructions. So we can see here, we need to include some specific SPF stuff. So specifically within our SPF policy, we're going to do include mailgun.org, and this will make sure that SPF is working. And then we can also do the DKIM stuff too. And so our goal at this point is to get all of our valid senders in a good state with SPF and DKIM. And then once we've done that, we can move to enforce mode with DMARC. And so at this point, we can go to enforce mode. So you can either go back to this the setup panel that we were using earlier, and you can click through to make sure everything's validated correctly. And at this point, you can go either to quarantine or reject. And this is your new policy that you then need to install within your DNS. Or you can just do it manually. You just go from P equals none to P equals reject or P equals quarantine. And that's pretty much the process of what you're going to do. There's some other stuff we'll talk about, but at this point, you have set up DMARC correctly. You can come back to this dashboard or the overview panel every once in a while just to make sure that your emails are passing as expected. So we can see we have a whole bunch of emails. This is the different domains sending emails. This is where we're actually sending emails from, and we can see what the pass-fail status looks like. We also can look at all the different domains we have. We can add more domains. We can bulk add domains if we have a whole bunch of them. There's also an API where you can bulk add domains. We can see what it looks like. After a while, you can also set up alerts. If you want to know if any of the records have changed, eventually I'll also add if there's been a spike in reports that have failed recently. So maybe you set up a new service. That should be out in a couple of weeks. Any of the aggregation reports received, you're free to download. So you just click the download button. There's also an API for exporting as many of these as you want. It's your data. You should have it. And that's it. That's how easy it is to get started with DMARC using DMARC Defender. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email. I'm Stuart at dmarcdefender.io. Yeah, see you around.